Hey, this is Bob the Webbuilder, and today we are going to build a masonry layout with just one line of CSS. So, as you can see, I added a blank div element, which is just an unstyled container from GreenShift, but you can use any plugin, any builder that offers a unstyled container element. And I added a bunch of core images to that container. So, as you can see right now, they're all stacked below each other, completely unstyled. And we are going to add one line of CSS to make it a masonry layout. So we are going to the custom CSS area in the GreenShift block. And we're going to add a root placeholder. The root placeholder is just a dynamic placeholder that makes sure we only target this specific div. And we're going to add the code we need, which is column count and then just the number of columns you would like. In this case, we're going to make it 3. And as you can see, we have a 3-column CSS grid. Of course, you can also make it 2. We can make it 4, whatever you want. But in this case, we are going to use 3. Let's save it. Let's look at it at the front end. And as you can see, we have a nice 3-column CSS grid. Using this column count property also make sure you have some column gap by default. So that's nice. You can customize the column gap if you wish by just using the term column gap. Same column gap you have with CSS grid and CSS flexbox. So let's make it, for example, 40 pixels so you can see the difference. Now we're going to make it like 20 pixels. So the only problem we have now is that there is some white space above the first image. And there's also space between the images that's bigger than the 20 pixels we have in between of the columns. And that is because the core image block as a figure tag, and the figure tag gets some default styling in WordPress right here, 1 em of block spacing. So we are going to remove that. And we're going to do that by adding another placeholder and then add, well, let's just select all direct elements of this container and say margin 0. And as you can see, now the margin is gone. But of course, we do want some margin in between the items. Now, normally in Flexbox or Grid, you would add a row gap, but CSS columns does not support the row gap. So we can add this, but nothing will happen, as you can see. So we will have to add some margin back to the figures in this case. So let's say I want a 20 pixel margin on the bottom. And here we go. Now we have a perfect masonry grid.